Chapter 3288. There's a problem over at Star Traversing Continent. Our Guhai race has offended the Dragon King of Dragon Palace. The Dragon King has the strength of a rank 7 universe venerable. All the experts and disciples on Star Traversing Continent were killed. Even the 20 galactic beasts were killed. The Dragon King of Dragon Palace wants to exterminate our Guhai race. This battle is hard to avoid. They have a rank 7 universe venerable. We are not their match. The Righteous God Race Patriarch sent us a message. The Righteous God Race is prepared to give up on the landing battle. They will immediately attack the Dragon Palace and exterminate them. They ordered us to use all our strength to exterminate the Dragon Palace. In a huge hall on the Guhai race's main planet, many universe venerables sat on the seats. In the middle, 8 old men of the Guhai race sat there, announcing the news with a gloomy expression. When everyone heard the news, their expressions changed. How did our Guhai race offend the Dragon King of Dragon Palace? Why does he want to exterminate us? One of the Guhai race experts could not help but ask. A universe venerable with a level 7 battle prowess caused them to feel fear. This was not an existence they could fight against. You can take a look at the situation on the universe AI. The leading old man said with a gloomy expression. When they received the news, they nearly peed their pants. A rank 7 universe venerable wanted to exterminate their Guhai race. What could they use to resist? However, a message from the leader of an upright god race caused them to reveal a hopeful expression. In the huge hall, the 6,000 over universe venerables took out their AI and looked at the news. There was no need for them to search. The hottest news in the continental encirclement galaxy was about them. What happened at the Guhai race auction had already spread throughout the continental encirclement galaxy. Many people were filled with mockery towards the Guhai race. We only have one way now. Exterminate the Dragon Palace. Not only did the Dragon King anger us, he also angered the Righteous God race. Now, the Righteous God race has given up on the landing battle. Since the Dragon King wants to destroy us, let's see who will destroy who. An old man in the center of the Ancient Sea race stood up, revealing a sinister murderous intent in his eyes. The Dragon Palace's Dragon Kings destroyed the experts of my Ancient Sea race and our astral behemoths. This time we will clash with them. All universe venerates and core disciples of the Ancient Sea race, prepare for battle. Kill, kill, kill. Since they want to destroy us, let's see who will destroy who. With the upright god clans around, we can definitely destroy the Dragon Palace if we join forces. The many universe venerates of the Ancient Sea race stood up, showing berserk murderous intent on their faces. The Dragon King was more powerful than them, but now that the orthodox gods were here, they were not afraid at all. Killing 20 of their giant star beasts meant that they would not rest until one of them was dead. If the Dragon King wanted to annihilate them, they would annihilate the Dragon Palace as well. Soon, 90 astral behemoths roared in the Ancient Sea's starry heavens. All the experts and elites of the Ancient Sea race stood above these 90 astral behemoths. They roared in the starry heavens and flew in one direction. At this moment, on the universe's AI, everyone was shocked by what was happening in the void in front of the great desolate continent. All the experts in the surrounding starry heavens discussed in shock. The strength of the Dragon Palace's Dragon King and the Ancient Sea race courting death. However, in next to no time, another piece of news that shocked everyone arrived. The upright god race army is flying towards the south of the surrounding starry heavens. They are getting further and further away from the great desolate continent. What are they doing? There is a shocking guess. It seems like the upright god race has given up on the landing battle. The departure of the upright god race army shocked everyone. Countless people guessed. 2 hours later, 2 shocking pieces of news arrived. The upright god race had given up on the landing battle and were heading in the direction of the Dragon Palace. All the Ancient Sea race's astral behemoths, universe venerates and elite disciples were moving out to meet up with the upright god race. When these 2 pieces of news spread out, everyone was in an uproar. Crazy, this is too crazy. This time, the upright god race and the Ancient Sea race offended the Dragon King. The Dragon King killed a large number of experts from the upright god race and the Ancient Sea race. Now, the upright god race has given up on the landing battle and wants to destroy the Dragon Palace. This is the alliance of the number 1 and number 2 forces in our starry heavens? They are going to destroy the Dragon Palace. They have given up on the landing battle. The upright god race is too crazy this time. After all, the upright god race's landing battle has a 100% success rate. The upright god race is probably afraid that the Dragon Palace will launch a sneak attack during the landing battle. That's why they are making such a crazy move. The ancient sea race is about to meet up with the upright god race. They are indeed heading in the direction of the Dragon Palace. On the AI, countless people were discussing. They were shocked by the upright god race's crazy move. However, when everyone found out the reason why the upright god race and the ancient sea race offended the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, there was another uproar. This time we can only say that the upright god race is unlucky. It's their fault for being too arrogant and bumping into a tough opponent. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace is also ferocious. He fought his way out step by step. Why would he be afraid of the upright god race and the ancient sea race? Next, do you think the upright god race and the ancient sea race can destroy the Dragon Palace? After all, the upright god race and the ancient sea race are the number 1 and number 2 forces in our starry heavens. The Dragon Palace should not be a match for them. However, it will be difficult to destroy the Dragon Palace. After all, the Dragon Palace of the Divine Dragon bloodline is very powerful. Countless people were discussing, guessing that there would be a huge war that would break out soon. There was only one reasonable explanation for the upright god race's crazy move, and that was to destroy the Dragon Palace to make up for their losses. This guess was also correct. In the starry heavens, the entire upright god race was traveling quickly. At this moment, every clansman was burning with rage. Since they had given up on the landing battle, they could only make up for it with the blood of the Dragon Palace. What's going on? The upright god race actually left? At the same time, in the sky above a vast continent, the entire continent was filled with dense immortal chi. At the periphery of this continent, huge mountain peaks stood tall. Every mountain peak was tens of millions of meters tall. In front of these mountain peaks, 10,000-meter-tall giants stood in an orderly fashion on an empty space. In front of them, 60,000-meter-tall giants stared at the void in front of them in shock. Clan head, look at the AI in the starry heavens. The upright god race actually gave up on the landing battle. They are going to destroy a faction of the Divine Dragon bloodline. A giant said in shock and pleasant surprise. Chapter 3289. Huh? The Orthodox god races gave up on the landing battle? It seems that the Orthodox god races offended the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. In the end, the Dragon King killed a large number of their disciples. The Dragon Palace also has a rank 7 universe venerable expert. Hence, they were afraid that the Dragon Palace would launch a sneak attack during the landing battle. Hence, they gave up on the landing battle. In the direction of the desolate continent's giant clan, the group of giants had excited looks on their faces. They heaved a sigh of relief inwardly. The strength of the Orthodox god races was terrifying to them. The giant tribe's chances of winning this battle were less than 30%. Now that they gave up on the landing battle, it was a joyous occasion for them. This could reduce their losses significantly. Just as the giant tribe heaved a sigh of relief, Wang Xian walked out of the treasure vault of the Ancient Sea Tribe's auction hall on the continent of the Ancient Sea Tribe. The harvest this time was pretty good for him. But at this time, the Universe AI sent him a lot of information. When he saw the information, he was slightly taken aback. The Orthodox god races actually gave up on the landing battle? Now they are flying towards the Dragon Palace with the Ancient Sea Tribe, preparing to destroy the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian couldn't help but burst into laughter when he saw these two pieces of information. He really didn't expect the Orthodox god races to give up on the landing battle and join forces with the Ancient Sea Tribe to destroy the Dragon Palace. Did they think they could destroy the Dragon Palace? Aren't they sending resources to the Dragon Palace? What a bunch of good people. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. Originally, he had decided to destroy the Ancient Sea Tribe. As for the Orthodox god races, if they paid a price, Wang Xian wouldn't do anything to them. He would give them a chance. After all, the Orthodox god races had only offended him because of that group of people. If they had a good attitude, everything would be negotiable. But he didn't expect them to be so crazy to destroy the Dragon Palace. He looked at the information on the Universe AI and revealed a mocking expression. The Orthodox god races suffered a huge loss by giving up on the landing battle. If they wanted to make up for this loss, they could only destroy the Dragon Palace and obtain all the Divine Dragon Palace. Obviously they had the same idea. Since you are courting death and have traveled tens of thousands of light years to destroy our Dragon Palace, we will naturally welcome you. Wang Xian smiled. With a slight movement of his body, he disappeared immediately. The next moment he appeared in the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle sensed Wang Xian's arrival and immediately came forward to welcome him. Someone has sent us gifts. Let's get ready to welcome them. Order all the members of the Dragon Palace to get ready. We must entertain them well and not let any of them escape," said Wang Xian to Prime Minister Turtle with a smile. "Yes, Dragon King. This time, 17,000 to 18,000 universe supremacies from the two races are indeed a huge gift to us." Prime Minister Turtle was full of smiles. 17,000 universe supremacies and the first and second strongest forces of the continent encircling Starry Sky had sent over all their accumulated gifts. This was simply a joyous occasion for the Dragon Palace. "I'll send someone to prepare it." As Prime Minister Turtle spoke, he immediately retreated. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. Currently, the Dragon Palace was lacking some top-notch combat power. Now that they were here, they wouldn't be lacking anymore. He thought to himself as he took out the Universe AI. At this moment, on the Universe AI, all the forces of the entire continent encircling Starry Sky were paying attention to every move of the Orthodox God races and the Ancient Sea races. Everyone was guessing the outcome of this battle. Countless people were discussing it. However, many people still had a lot of trust in the Orthodox God races and the Ancient Sea races. They believed that they could defeat the Dragon Palace. As for completely annihilating the Dragon Palace, they weren't sure. This was because the Dragon Palace of the Divine Dragon lineage was very strong. "This time I'll show you the strength of the Dragon Palace." Wang Xian revealed a smile as he looked at the various guesses on the Universe AI. Soon, a message came from the Water Dragon Palace, asking if he needed help. Wang Xian rejected them immediately. They didn't have to waste time coming over. At the same time, in the void of the continent encircling Starry Sky, about 90 ruffian beasts were flying in the void. Every single one of them was huge, and there were countless experts standing on their bodies. The army of the Ancient Sea races met with the army of the Orthodox God races. This time, the Orthodox God races had mobilized all their forces for the Battle of Landing. Swish, swish, swish. On the leading ruffian beast of the Ancient Sea race, 8 figures flew towards the center of the army of the Orthodox God races. They looked at the huge Orthodox God battle physique and were full of confidence for this battle. "Senior." The 8 rank 6 supremacies of the Ancient Sea race flew over and greeted respectfully. "From now on, just follow my orders. This time we'll completely annihilate the Dragon Palace." A beam of golden light shrouded them and pulled them into the main hall. At this moment, 22 rank 6 supremacies of the universe sat on the left and right of the main hall. The 2 elders of the Orthodox God races looked at them sternly. "Yes, Senior. We naturally believe in the strength of the Orthodox God races." The 8 people of the Ancient Sea race answered immediately. "2 Seniors, the defense of the Dragon Palace of the Divine Dragon lineage is extremely terrifying. If they hide inside, then we..." The leader of the Ancient Sea race hesitated before speaking. "There's always a way. I don't believe that we can't break the Dragon Palace." The 2 elders of the Orthodox God races said coldly. This time they would try their best to break the Dragon Palace. "Yes, with the Orthodox God races and our Ancient Sea race around, we don't believe that we can't break the Dragon Palace." An elder of the Ancient Sea race clenched his fist and bellowed. The 2 elders of the Orthodox God races waved their hands coldly. "Go and get ready. This time, we won't rest until we destroy the Dragon Palace." "Yes." The 8 of them cupped their fists and returned to the ruffian beast. The 2 forces were flying at high speed. Based on their flying speed, it would take them a month to reach the Dragon Palace. However, they weren't in a hurry. The Dragon Palace couldn't escape. Even if they had to escape to the ends of the world, they would destroy the Dragon Palace. This time, the Orthodox God races were prepared for a protracted war. Even if it took them hundreds of millions of years, they could afford it. As the days passed, the movements of the Orthodox God races, the Ancient Sea race, were updated daily. A month's time was a long time. The 2 races had also entered the Starry Sky and were getting closer to the Dragon Palace. At this moment, Wang Xian sat in front of the Dragon Palace with a table in front of him. A cup of tea was brewed on the table. "They're finally here. It's been tough on you to travel such a long distance." Wang Xian looked into the void and revealed a smile as he felt the vast energy. He was getting a little anxious from waiting. Chapter 3290. Terrifying roars resounded in the starry sky of the Star River. 90 basilisk beasts roared furiously. Every basilisk beast had the combat power of a rank 3 Universe Venerable. The stronger ones had already reached rank 6 Universe Venerable. Their roars caused the entire starry sky to shake. "We're here. The Dragon Palace is just ahead." In front of the legions of the Orthodox God races, figures radiating golden light flew forward. They stood on top of the upright god battle bodies with golden light radiating from their eyes. Two Laozu stood on the leading upright deity battle body and stared at the dragon palace in front of them. Behind them, all the experts and disciples of the orthodox god races held their divine weapons in their hands, their eyes filled with murderous intent. It was all because of the dragon palace that they had given up on the battle. This time they would turn the dragon palace into a river of blood, and the corpses of the disciples of the dragon palace would be under their feet. The legions of the two races were approaching rapidly. Violent murderous intent surged towards the dragon palace. Walala. When they entered the ocean where the dragon palace was, the seawater flowed backward rapidly. A vacuum was formed rapidly. As the two legions advanced, the seawater also began to flow backward. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, I'll give you a chance. Submit to the orthodox god races and become our mounts. Otherwise, even if you escape to any corner of the universe, even if it takes hundreds of millions of years, the orthodox god races will annihilate you. The two legions were only hundreds of millions of kilometers away from the dragon palace. At this distance, Wang Xian had already entered the attack range. The two Laozu from the orthodox deities stood on their upright deity battle bodies and looked at Wang Xian, who was drinking tea at the table in front of the dragon palace. Their eyes were filled with violent killing intent as they bellowed. A rank 7 universe venerable dragon king? Against the entire orthodox god race, they were confident that they could annihilate the dragon king within a minute. They weren't surprised that only the dragon king was waiting in front of the dragon palace. To them, the dragon palace was no match for them. The other members didn't dare to come out. Interesting. Making the disciples of the dragon palace the mounts of the orthodox god races? Upon hearing their words, Wang Xian revealed a smile. Our dragon palace has been waiting for you for a long time. Welcome, distinguished guests, haha. He laughed and said, "Oh." When the two Laozu from the orthodox celestial races saw how brazen Wang Xian was, their eyes were filled with shock and coldness. Dragon King, you killed 20 astral beasts of my Guhai race. Today I will kill all the disciples of your divine dragon palace. The Guhai race's clan head roared with a murderous expression. Ignorant. Wang Xian shook his head and stood up slowly. Disciples of Dragon Palace, get ready to welcome the guests. Treat them well and leave no one alive. He got up and his calm voice spread throughout the Dragon Palace. Woo woo woo. Inside the Dragon Palace, Xiaolan's muffled roar came first. Haha, formation rise. Tianzhen's laughter rang out and the surrounding void immediately began to change. The entire starry sky changed drastically and was enveloped by 9-colored radiance. The light covered everyone from the righteous god race and the ancient sea race. Following which, the members of the Dragon Palace walked out one by one. 9 wind divine dragons, 2 fire divine dragons, 1 thunder dragon, 1 darkness dragon, 1 gold dragon and 1 water divine dragon. Each of the divine dragons contained a strong dragon aura. Even if they did not release their aura, one could tell how terrifying they were. There are so many purebred divine dragons in this dragon palace. When the experts from the orthodox celestial races saw the purebred divine dragons of the dragon palace, they were shocked. It would be great if these purebred divine dragons could be our mounts. How dare they go against us? They must be courting death. The group of experts and disciples from the orthodox celestial races said coldly. As for the radiance that enveloped them, they did not take it to heart at all. An array that could only interfere with rank 6 universe venerables had no effect on them. You want to go against us? When the two Laozu from the orthodox celestial races saw the members of the Dragon Palace walking out one after another, they revealed a stern look. You must be courting death. Since you refuse to submit, then die. The patriarch of the orthodox celestial races roared and raised the acquired treasures in his hands. All disciples of the orthodox celestial races, get ready. The Dragon Palace obstructed us from disembarking. We will make them pay the price in blood. Get ready, kill. Kill, kill, kill. Kill. All the experts and disciples of the orthodox celestial races roared coldly. They stared coldly at the Dragon Palace. Over there, the experts of the Dragon Palace walked out one after another. All of them were universe venerables, emitting a strong aura. However, they did not react at all. This time, there were a total of 17,000 to 18,000 universe supremacies from the two great clans. They have some strength. When the 10,000 universe venerables of the Dragon Palace came out, the orthodox celestial races were surprised. 10,000 universe venerables, this surprised them. The rise of the Dragon Palace had not been long. There's more. However, they were shocked to discover that the members that walked out of the Dragon Palace were also Universe Venerables. At the exit of the Dragon Palace, 2,000 members walked out at once. In other words, the number of Universe Venerables in the Dragon Palace had reached 12,000. Very soon, more and more experts walked out of the Dragon Palace. 14,000, 16,000, 20,000, 30,000. As more and more Universe Venerables came out, the Orthodox Celestial races and the Ancient Sea race could no longer remain calm. At first they were surprised, then shocked, and now they were a little flustered. The prowess of the two superpowers, that sharp killing intent, and the berserk aura were gradually decreasing. However, the experts from the Dragon Palace were still coming out continuously. Damn it, why are there so many Universe Venerables in the Dragon Palace? When the number reached 40,000, the two elders from the Orthodox Celestial races could no longer remain calm. They roared with ugly expressions. Hurry up. At this moment, Prime Minister Turtle's voice was heard. In the next moment, another 20,000 Universe Venerables charged out. Closely following that, many Void God Emperor disciples who were emitting powerful auras appeared. Damn it, 60,000 Universe Venerables, how is this possible? How is this possible? When the experts from the Ancient Sea race saw the number of experts from the Dragon Palace, their bodies trembled, and they could not help but roar. More than 60,000 Universe Venerables, 10 times their number. The number of experts that was 10 times their own made their scalps go numb. Gulp. All the experts and disciples from the Orthodox Celestial races swallowed their saliva, their faces showing a tinge of fear. There were too many experts in the Dragon Palace. Since you are here, don't think of leaving. Wang Xian looked at them with a smile. In the next moment, all the members of the Dragon Palace roared in unison, their prowess exploding. Chapter 3291. Annihilation of the two races in a short time below. Boom boom boom. Waves of horrifying aura surged forward. The massive dragon aura engulfed the entire area. When the might of the Dragon Palace surged towards the two major races, all the experts and disciples of the principal god race, the Ancient Sea race, revealed horrified expressions. Especially the two patriarchs of the Ancient Sea race. Their expressions changed drastically. They stared at the dark dragon beside Wang Xian as their hearts raced. They could feel the aura of the same level from the dark dragon. In fact, because the other party was a divine dragon, his aura was stronger than theirs. Dragon Palace had over 60,000 Universe Venerables. They could barely accept it, because they had two Universe Venerables with level 7 fighting strength and a powerful god body. In terms of high-end combat power, they had a huge advantage. But now, when the Dragon Palace unleashed a rank 7 Universe Supremacy Divine Dragon, their expressions changed drastically. With such a force, it was wishful thinking for the upright god race to annihilate the Dragon Palace. With the Dark Dragon and the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, the strength of the Dragon Palace was not much weaker than the upright god race. In particular, there were too many universe supremacies in the Dragon Palace. At this moment, all the experts and disciples of the Ancient Sea race were even more horrified. Given the strength of the Dragon Palace, it would be a piece of cake for them to annihilate the Ancient Sea race. Damn it! Retreat! Retreat! The two patriarchs of the upright god race bellowed in a low voice. This time the upright god race suffered a huge loss. Not only did they fail to annihilate the Dragon Palace, but they also offended the Dragon Palace. They had also given up on the landing battle. This huge loss was hard for them to accept. But under such circumstances, if they continued to fight, their losses would be even greater. They could only retreat. Retreat! Retreat! The experts of the Ancient Sea race roared when they heard the words of the patriarchs of the upright god race. Damn it, we are no match for them at all. I've said, since you are here, don't leave. Kill all of them. Wang Xian looked at them with a mocking look on his face. He immediately ordered loudly. Brr, brr. In the next moment, the members of the Dragon Palace charged forward without any hesitation. Dragon King, don't be arrogant. Do you really think that we're afraid of you? In terms of high-end combat power, your Dragon Palace is no match for us. Seeing that the Dragon Palace dared to attack them directly, the patriarchs of the upright gods roared with an ugly expression. According to the Dragon Palace's aura, the Dragon Palace had fewer rank 6 venerables than them. Furthermore, the Dragon Palace only had 2 level 7 venerables. If they really fought, the righteous god races might not be afraid. They just didn't want to suffer too many losses. The Dragon Palace's insatiable behavior infuriated them. The two Laozu from the Orthodox Celestial races stared at Wang Xian with murderous intent in their eyes. Haha, you're courting death. I said I'll kill you today, so I'll kill you today. Wang Xian laughed hysterically. In the next moment, the unbeginning sacred wings appeared behind him. With a shift of his body, he disappeared instantly. When the two elders from the orthodox gods saw Wang Xian vanishing in an instant, their pupils constricted. Who gave you the courage to destroy the Dragon Palace? In the next moment, Wang Xian's voice rang in their ears. Hearing this voice so close to them, the expressions of the two patriarchs from the righteous god clans changed drastically. Their bodies trembled as they looked in front of them. In front of them, there was only a distance of 5 meters. The Dragon King was only 5 meters away from them. However, they didn't notice any of this. Gulp. The two of them swallowed their saliva as cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Their bodies trembled. Not arrogant anymore? Wang Xian looked at them with a smile. How is this possible? How is this possible? One of the patriarchs from the orthodox gods roared in disbelief. His eyes were filled with despair. Killing you is like slaughtering dogs. Wang Xian smiled and stretched out his palm. Run, run, run. Without any hesitation, the two of them fled to the side. But in the next moment, Wang Xian disappeared. When he appeared again, he was holding the two patriarchs from the orthodox gods in his hands. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, everyone in front of them stared blankly at the two figures in the hands of the Dragon King. All they could see was darkness. It was especially so for the experts from the orthodox god races. Those were their patriarchs. A rank 7 universe supremacy was subdued by the Dragon King in an instant. How strong was the Dragon King? It's over. We're finished. We're finished. The group of rank 6 universe supremacies from the orthodox god races screamed in fear when they saw this. Run, run, run. Run as much as you can. The leader of the orthodox god races screamed. The Dragon King isn't a rank 7 universe supremacy. He's even stronger. How is this possible? No, no, no. On the Guhai race's side, when the Guhai race's clan head saw this scene, his face filled with disbelief and despair. They were on the verge of breaking down. The Dragon Palace had over 60,000 universe supremacies. Moreover, the Dragon King's strength was above rank 7 universe supremacy. The two patriarchs from the orthodox god races were instantly killed. How could they fight? They could only wait for death. Bam. At this moment, the two patriarchs from the orthodox god races were thrown towards the Dragon Palace. The Dragon King waved his arm and a horrifying treasure attacked the orthodox god races while he closed his eyes and hovered in the air. Run, run. The experts of the orthodox god races saw their patriarchs being killed and the Dragon King hovering in the air with his eyes closed. To them, this was a chance for survival. They ran for their lives. However, to the horror of the orthodox god race leaders and the group of rank 6 universe supremacies, the disc-like treasure emitted a despairing aura as it attacked them. Brr, brr, brr. The 5 divine dragons on the 5 elements grindstone roared in unison as a powerful aura swept out. The group of rank 6 supremacies felt as though the stars were pressing down on them. Unstoppable. Unstoppable. We're completely finished. Just one treasure was enough to render them defenseless. They knew that the orthodox god races were completely finished. Rumble. A horrifying energy swept out and the 22 rank 6 supremacies from the orthodox god races died instantly. Brr, 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 brr. Dragon of Darkness roared as it charged towards the Guhai race. Terrifying demonic flames covered the sky. Xiaolan let out a low growl as it locked its gaze on the 90 galactic mastiffs and charged over. Wait for death. At this moment, all the experts and disciples of the orthodox god races and Guhai race lost their will to fight. Chapter 3292, Arg. Screams rang out in front of the Dragon Palace. How could they fight? The Dragon King easily killed the 2 patriarchs of the orthodox god races. The rest of the rank 6 supremacies were killed by the Dragon King's treasure. How could they fight against such terrifying strength? The surrounding void was shrouded in a rays. They could not escape even if they wanted to. Death was their only destination. What happened next was what the disciples and experts of the 2 races had expected. The ancient sea race could not defend against the attack of the rank 7 demon dragon. The 90 galactic beasts were no match for the demon dragon even if they attacked with all their might. Moreover, the Dragon Palace also had extremely powerful galactic beasts. It was a one-sided massacre in the following moments. They could not escape or hide. They wanted to surrender, but there was no response. At this moment, all the disciples and experts of the 2 races had given up. The difference was too great. They had never imagined that the current Dragon Palace would be so terrifying. They could only blame themselves for kicking an iron plate. They could have survived if they begged for mercy, but they had come to destroy the Dragon Palace. Just as the Dragon King had said, they had been waiting for a long time. They had been waiting for a month to send themselves to their deaths. Phew. Not a bad haul this time. Wang Xian floated in the air, opened his eyes slowly and revealed a faint smile. He had used the soul-manipulating technique to read the memories of the two patriarchs of the Orthodox god races. This time, the Orthodox god races had hidden the god nations of all their experts and disciples in one place for the battle. In addition, all their treasures were placed in one place. According to the information he had obtained, the treasures in the treasure vault of the Orthodox god races were huge. As the strongest force in the starry sky, they had more resources than the demon dragon lineage. What a nice guy. Wang Xian smiled and swept his gaze across the surroundings. The battle was coming to an end. Although the tens of millions of elite core disciples of the two races were a lot, the overall strength of the Dragon Palace was much weaker. Especially the number of supremacies in the Dragon Palace. After the massacre of over 60,000 supremacies, the two races were left with few people. Some members of the Dragon Palace had already begun to collect the spoils of war. The righteous god races have 7 acquired treasures. That's not a small number. They have nearly 200 acquired treasures. Wang Xian murmured. Dragon King. At this moment, Orochi, who was parasitizing the Guhai race's patriarch, flew over and shouted with a smile. Bring people to the ancient sea races and bring all their treasures over. Wang Xian instructed him. It's Dragon King. Yamada no Orochi immediately responded. The rest of the disciples of Dragon Palace, collect the corpses. Let's go. This time we will take Dragon Palace to the starry sky, said Wang Xian with a smile as he swept his gaze across all the members. This time the Dragon Palace had annihilated the principal god race and the ancient sea race. He was prepared to move the Dragon Palace to the continental encirclement starry sky. The current Dragon Palace was an invincible existence in the entire continental encirclement starry sky. Next, after digesting the resources of the two forces, they could embark. However, before landing, they had to head to the continental encirclement space to understand the situation. It's Dragon King. All the members of Dragon Palace responded immediately. Half an hour later, the battlefield was cleaned up and all the corpses were placed into the Dragon Palace. Let's go. When Wang Xian arrived at the Dragon Palace, the entire Dragon Palace began to rise and fly rapidly towards the direction of the continental encirclement starry sky. Around the Dragon Palace were the Fire Dragon Palace, the Dark Demon Dragon World, the Crimson Gold Battle Dragon, and the Wind Thunder Divine Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palaces of the Crimson Gold Battle Dragon and Wind Thunder Celestial Dragon were being devoured by Aosia and the others. However, as the level of the Dragon Palace was too high, they needed a long time to digest it. The 5 Dragon Palaces flew in the starry sky, emitting a terrifying aura. At this moment, when all the forces and experts in the galaxy saw Dragon Palace leaving, their faces were filled with shock. They naturally knew that the principal god races, the ancient sea races, wanted to destroy the Dragon Palace. When the two races entered the Star River starry sky, many forces sensed their terror. That aura made them not dare to approach. They thought that an earth-shattering battle was about to break out, but they didn't expect that the Dragon Palace would leave in such a short time and fly towards the continental encirclement starry sky. Where are the people of the righteous god race, the ancient sea race? Everyone in the Star River starry sky was shocked, and they were discussing it on the AI. Where were the people from the two races? The Dragon Palace flew quickly towards the continental encirclement starry sky. The battle with the Dragon Palace had ended, and the two major forces were destroyed. Because the forces in the continental encirclement starry sky were too far away, they didn't receive any news. On the AI, people were still discussing how the battle would turn out. There were even forces that started betting on what the final outcome would be. However, not long after, the ancient sea races released a shocking piece of news. The experts of the ancient sea races who stayed behind revealed that the spirit tablets of all the experts of the ancient sea races who went to attack the Dragon Palace had cracked. The cracking of the spirit tablets meant that all the experts were dead. All the experts of the ancient sea races were dead? After receiving this news, everyone's faces were filled with shock. One should know that the ancient sea races went with the principal god races this time. All the experts of the ancient sea races were dead. What about the principal god races? What was going on in this battle? Did the Dragon Palace win? Countless people discussed in shock on the AI of the continental encirclement starry sky. All the experts of the ancient sea races were killed. This news was too shocking. Some people even couldn't believe it. This was because the two races went together. If one race was destroyed, it meant that the battle might have ended. Otherwise, how could all the experts and disciples of the ancient sea races be dead? Dragon King, the continental encirclement starry sky, has received news of the annihilation of the ancient sea races. In the starry sky, the Dragon Palace flew rapidly. Prime Minister Turtle came to the Dragon King Hall and reported to Wuxia. Inform them that we have annihilated the ancient sea races and the principal god races. We can ignore the remaining disciples. However, no one is to prepare the treasures of the two races. Whoever touches will be killed. When Wuxia received this news, his eyes flickered as he gave the order. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle replied immediately. He took out the AI and immediately issued a statement in the name of the Dragon Palace. This statement was also what Wuxia had said. Dragon Palace. The ancient sea races and the principal god races have been annihilated by the Dragon Palace. We can ignore the remaining disciples of the two races. However, no one is to prepare the treasures of the two races. Whoever touches will be killed. Chapter 3293. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find this site today. Dragon Palace. The ancient sea race and the upright god race have been annihilated by the Dragon Palace. We will not pursue the remaining disciples of the two races. However, no one is allowed to touch the treasures of the two races. Anyone who touches will be killed. When the Dragon Palace announced this on the AI, it caused a huge uproar. The entire continental encirclement starry sky was in an uproar. To think that the divine Dragon Palace really destroyed the ancient sea race and the righteous god race. How long has it been? How strong exactly is the divine Dragon Palace to be able to destroy these two factions so quickly? Isn't the Dragon Palace too horrifying? All the elites of the upright god race and the ancient sea race were annihilated just like that. The Dragon Palace is too invincible. Could it be that the Dragon Palace has a rank 8 universe venerable? It is highly possible. Otherwise, how could the two races be annihilated so quickly? The strength of the upright god race is very horrifying. On the AI, all the experts of the continental encirclement starry sky were shocked by the strength of the Dragon Palace. The upright god race was already very horrifying to them, yet they were still annihilated so quickly. Just how strong was the Dragon Palace? At this moment, the most horrified were the ordinary disciples of the ancient sea race and the upright god race. The two races had deep foundations in the continental encirclement starry sky, with trillions of people. Now that all their elites were suddenly annihilated, they felt despair. With their elites killed, they were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered in the continental encirclement starry sky. Even if the Dragon Palace announced that they could be spared, the ancient sea race and the upright god race had enemies. The disciples of the two races had also offended other weaker races. Now that the elites of the two races were killed, what awaited them was the revenge of some people. This was a fatal blow to the disciples of the two races. However, faced with the Dragon Palace's warning, they did not dare to embezzle the treasures of their races. They were afraid of giving the order to attack. With the current horrifying strength of the Dragon Palace, if the Dragon Palace directly issued the order to kill the disciples of the upright god race and the ancient sea race, they believed that no faction would reject it, and no faction would dare to reject it. If that happened to the upright god race, it would be a disaster. All the disciples of the ancient sea races and the righteous god races fell into panic. How did things develop to such an extent? They were once one of the strongest existences in the starry sky. The Dragon Palace's announcement stirred the entire landlocked starry sky. However, it was not limited to the continental encirclement galaxy. At the edge of the great desolate continent, many races were also paying attention to the continent encirclement starry sky. In the eyes of the factions at the edge of the great desolate continent, the righteous god races and the ancient sea races were not weak. In fact, some of the factions at the edge of the great desolate continent were even weaker than them. The number 1 and number 2 forces in the continent encirclement starry sky attacked the Dragon Palace. Although they didn't send anyone to investigate the situation, they were still paying attention to the situation on the AI. When they saw the news about the Dragon Palace, they were shocked. Almost all the forces could confirm that the Dragon Palace had a level 8 universe venerable. Otherwise, with the strength displayed by the upright god clans, there was no way they would have been so easily destroyed. Of course, there was another possibility, which was that the Dragon Palace had more than 10 to 20 universe level 7 venerables. Of course, this possibility was not as reliable as the first one. Senior brother, What if we are discovered by the Dragon Palace? We are no match for the Dragon Palace. At this moment, more than 10 figures were flying towards the starry sky above the great desolate continent. A middle-aged man frowned and said, "Fuck, can't we not be discovered? When the time comes, all we have to do is hide our identities. We have to go and take a look at the treasured land of the righteous gods." A middle-aged man in the middle shouted in a deep voice. The strength of the righteous god race was known even by some of the factions at the edge of the great desolate continent. Now that the righteous god race had been exterminated, countless experts' divine kingdom treasures were in the righteous god race's lair. This was an opportunity for them. Usually, not to mention the strength of the righteous god races, they would not dare to cause trouble in the starry sky because of the rules of the great desolate continent. However, it was different now. They were only going there to search for treasures. As for the Dragon Palace's warning, it was only a warning to the forces surrounding the starry sky. They were a force from the chaotic continent who had opened up the heavens. If they went there to hide their identities and obtain some treasures, would the Dragon Palace be able to find them? This time it wasn't too risky for them. There was a possibility of obtaining a large number of treasures from the righteous god races without much risk. Who wouldn't do it? They were sure that they were not the only ones heading to the starry sky. There were also experts from other factions. We can't be careless and hide our auras. Other than using treasures in the great desolate continent, the Dragon Palace has not landed yet. A middle-aged man reminded. The Dragon Palace had not landed yet. If their race was chosen for the landing battle, they would be finished. Hence, they had to be careful. It's okay, we all have postnatal treasures. Hiding our auras is not a problem. The middle-aged man in the middle said confidently as he flew swiftly. While they were rushing over, at the edge of the great desolate continent, experts from other factions were also rushing over. These experts were relying on their treasures to hide their auras. Coupled with the allure of the righteous god race's treasures, they decided to take the risk. Let's go, hurry up. However, there were some factions that were even more unscrupulous. A rank 8 universe supremacy was considered an elite expert at the edge of the great desolate continent. However, this did not mean that there were no races with such experts. Some races even had 1 or 2 rank 8 universe supremacies. Some even had a dozen or 20. Such a faction was even more unscrupulous. They immediately sent experts over. The treasures of the righteous god races were also a huge resource for them. If they were lucky, they would be able to obtain a large number of treasures. Why not? Moreover, according to what they knew from the universe AI, the Dragon Palace would need at least half a month to reach the righteous god races in the great desolate continent. The distance between them was closer and they were faster. In the starry sky, Wang Xian did not know that although the major forces in the great desolate continent did not dare to touch their spoils of war, some experts from the great desolate continent had already entered the great desolate continent and were flying towards the nests of the righteous god races. At this moment, in the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian was studying the 30 righteous god combat bodies. Righteous god combat bodies, the strongest rank 7 universe supremacy. Chapter 3294. Lich, this righteous god battle body is made from a special metal. It is infused with the power of metal attribute laws, as well as some bloodlines of the righteous god race. In the vast starry sky, the Dragon Palace flew quickly. Wang Xian stood in the Dragon Palace and observed the righteous god combat bodies. The 30 righteous god battle bodies were one of the strongest trump cards of a righteous god race. However, before these 30 righteous god battle bodies could even be activated, the righteous god race was destroyed. The righteous god body can be absorbed by the devouring dragon. As for the rest, it won't be of much use. He studied it and shook his head slightly. The true god battle body was similar to the battle angel, but it was also very different. It was not as easy to make as the battle angel. If the devouring dragon devours these upright deity battle bodies, its strength will increase by a lot. Prime Minister Turtle stood at the side and said with a smile, "How are Aosia and the others progressing?" Wang Xian asked Prime Minister Turtle with a smile. Aosia and his 4 underlings have already reached the universe venerable realm, yet they haven't even finished devouring a dragon palace. Prime Minister Turtle laughed. Based on my guess, after devouring 2 dragon palaces, Aosia should be able to raise his battle prowess to universe venerable level 9. Ninth order? Sure, after he's done leveling up, our dragon palace will be able to absorb the resources of the 2 forces. At that time we'll embark on the battle," said Wang Xian. "Yes, Dragon King. With our strength, it will be a piece of cake for us to disembark." Prime Minister Turtle had a confident look on his face. The Dragon Palace flew in the starry sky and entered the continent encirclement starry sky after 2 days. When all the forces saw the Dragon Palaces flying across the starry sky, their faces were filled with awe. The Dragon Palace's current strength was truly feared by all the forces. Time passed day by day. Within the lair of a righteous god race. Ever since the Dragon Palace made the announcement, the righteous god clans had lost their morale. Some of the planet's powerhouses declared that they would not touch all the treasures in their lair. There were also some elite disciples of the upright god race's planets who had left in all directions. They hid in the starry sky surrounding the continent and waited for the incident to pass. In short, the entire territory of the righteous god races was in chaos. Trash, didn't you say that this is your nest? Why isn't there anything? On a golden planet, an old man stared at a void god emperor from a righteous deity race and questioned him coldly. Sir, this is really the base of the upright god race. I didn't lie to you, I didn't lie to you. The disciple of the upright god clans who was being manipulated by the old man roared in terror. Trash. The elder's face was ice cold. He waved his arm, and that disciple's consciousness became blurry as he was tossed into the distance. He wasn't dead, but it would take a long time for him to fully recover. Although they couldn't see it, they didn't dare to break the rules. The upright god race may have been worried that they would be ambushed during the landing battle, so they moved their god kingdom and treasures. They should be hidden in a hidden place. If we can find it, we will definitely have a terrifying harvest. An old man said with a fiery gaze. It's not just our race. There are at least 7 or 8 of them. The old man said with a frown. Continue the search. The crowd did not stop at all. The treasures of the upright god clans, even if they couldn't compare to the treasures of their own clans, they wouldn't be far off. One by one the experts searched quickly. Damn it, they really hid it well. Even we can't find it. At this moment, not far away, more than 20 experts with powerful auras floated in the void. They weren't very big, but their figures were very strange. Their entire bodies seemed to be pieced together. They were oddly shaped and filled with evil and evil. Their gazes swept across the surroundings and their expressions were ugly. If we could attack, we could also use sacrificial sorcery techniques to find the god countries of the experts of the upright god race. But damn it, we can't attack. A life form without legs, with only a pair of eyes, floated in the void and said coldly. They were the famous shaman demon race, located at the edge of heaven creation desolate continent. The upright god race has prepared for this landing battle for hundreds of millions of years. The hiding place of their god countries is definitely very secretive. Without special techniques, it will be very hard to find it just by searching. Beside him, another shaman demon said solemnly. They had special methods to find the god countries of the experts of the upright god race, but they needed a medium. Bloodlines. Through large amounts of bloodlines, they could confirm the location of the god countries of the upright god race experts. But to obtain these bloodlines, they would have to kill large numbers of the upright god race clansmen. This was against the rules, they didn't dare to do it. There's another method, which is to conduct a fair trade. We can spend some resources to buy some bloodlines from the disciples of the upright god race. However, the moment we do this, the other powers in Dragon Palace will find out. At that time, we will become enemies with Dragon Palace. Another shaman demon frowned and suggested. Their shaman demon race wasn't weak, but their strongest expert was only a level 8 universe sage. Dragon Palace now had a level 8 universe sage and it was the god dragon bloodline. Now they had to consider if it was worth it. We are naturally much stronger than Dragon Palace, but the god dragon bloodline has huge potential. The shaman demon in the center pondered. There are 2 level 7 god countries of the upright god race, and over 10,000 of them. Report to the patriarch and the rest, let them decide. After hesitating for a while, he still decided. All right. The rest of the shamans nodded. The patriarch has already replied, if we can find all the god countries in one go, we will occupy them. If we can only find a small portion, we will give it to Dragon Palace. Compared to the god countries and treasury of the upright god race, becoming enemies with Dragon Palace isn't much. The message was sent out and they soon received a reply. The shaman demon in the center said indifferently. All right, let's do it. The group of shamans immediately replied, and they swiftly flew towards one of the life planets of the upright god race. Very soon, a voice resounded in the skies of one of the upright god race planets. They were willing to spend large amounts of god stones to purchase the bloodline of the upright god race. Everyone only needed to give out 10% of their blood, and it wouldn't affect them much. This caused the upright god race members to be shocked. But they didn't reject it, immediately agreeing. This was because the god stones the other party was willing to pay was much more than their blood. Chapter 3295. Did we succeed? Yes, these bloodlines are enough to use tracing spells. Their god countries should be at the same location. If we find one, we might be able to find all of them. On a planet in the territory of the righteous god races, 10 liches were smiling as they chatted. Let's go, we need to act quickly. Although we ordered them not to say anything, there are too many people. It's impossible not to leak. We need to act quickly. The 10 figures immediately came to an area in space. They placed the blood of the righteous god races in space and used witchcraft, using the power of the bloodline to guide them to the universe god countries of the righteous god races. At the same time, on the planet they left, there were over 5 billion righteous god races on the planet. There were too many people who knew what happened here. There would definitely be people who would leak some information. Moreover, the experts of the liches didn't dare to use spells to silence them. Hence, a day later the situation here was exposed. At the start, it didn't attract much attention. However, as time passed, more and more people started to pay attention. More importantly, because of the news of the righteous god race disciples, not only did people buy their bloodlines, there were also people asking about the situation. Paper can't cover fire. At the start, it was still okay. However, as more people came, more attention was attracted. There seems to be many experts in the righteous god race territory. Each expert is very terrifying. They seem to be searching for the universe god countries of the righteous god race experts. With the orders of the Dragon Palace, who would dare to covet the spoils of war? Are they courting death? Are they going to become enemies with the Dragon Palace? The powers and experts of our continent surrounding space might not dare. However, it said that on one planet, a strange expert bought large amounts of bloodlines and seems to be using witchcraft to search for the universe god countries. It's not an expert from our continent surrounding space? Then it can only be an expert from the desolate continent. The treasures of the Guhai races might not be able to attract them, but the treasures of the righteous god races have a fatal attraction. They're definitely experts from the wilderness continent. However, the Dragon Palace's current strength isn't any weaker than some of the wilderness continent's forces. Are they trying to offend the Dragon Palace? As time passed, more and more people began to talk about it. The experts of the great desolate continent entering the righteous deity clans attracted a lot of attention. Dragon King, I have bad news. It is suspected that many experts from the great wasteland continent have entered the righteous god race's territory. They are suspected to be searching for the righteous god race's treasures. At the same time, the Dragon Palace also received the news 2 days after the incident. Prime Minister Turtle entered the Dragon King Hall and reported with a grim expression. When Wang Xian received the news, he frowned slightly. With a cold expression, he stood up immediately. Have you confirmed it? He asked with a sullen expression. The Orthodox god clans were destroyed by the Dragon Palace, so these were the spoils of war that belonged to the Dragon Palace. Anyone who wanted to snatch food from the dragon's mouth would have to pay the price. It can be confirmed that there are more than 10 experts who know witchcraft coming to a planet in the domain of the main god races. They bought a large amount of bloodlines and should be trying to use witchcraft to find the Cosmos God Nation. It has already been 2 days. Prime Minister Turtle said in a deep voice with a grim expression. This time, it was the Dragon Palace's mistake. They did not expect the experts and forces of the great desolate continent to covet the treasures of the main god races. However, with their strength, they were qualified to snatch food from the dragon's mouth. Courting death. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Get Enlai and Tianjin here immediately. Yes, Dragon King. Tianjin is upgrading in the dragon transformation pool. Should we interrupt him? Prime Minister Turtle asked. Interrupt him directly and get Tianjin here immediately. Chu Xian nodded. Yes. Prime Minister Turtle retreated. Soon Enlai and Tianjin arrived at the Dragon Palace. Greetings, Dragon King. Both of them greeted respectfully. Enlai, hurry to the domain of the main god races and bring us there as soon as possible. Wang Xian instructed Enlai immediately. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai replied immediately. Dragon King, which force wants to snatch the spoils of war from our Dragon Palace? Tianjin's face darkened. He had been absorbing spiritual energy in the dragon transformation pool for the past few days in preparation to upgrade his combat strength to rank 7 universe supremacy. He only knew a little about the current situation. I don't know for now. I'd like to see which force dares to snatch the spoils of war from our Dragon Palace. Forces of the Great Desolate Continent? Yee. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with coldness as he waited quietly on the dragon throne. Enlai's speed was very fast. Now that he had the combat strength of a rank 5 universe supremacy, the distance he could teleport had increased tremendously. If he relied on Enlai to travel, he could reach the territory of the main god races in 20 minutes. Initially, Wang Xian did not use this method because he was too careless. He thought no one would dare to touch the treasures of the main god races. Secondly, it was because the holy nations of the main god races were hidden in a very secretive place. If the forces and experts that surrounded the starry sky were to search for this place, they might not be able to find it even after decades or centuries. However, he had forgotten about the experts and forces of the Great Desolate Continent. If that treasure is really snatched away, no matter which force it is, I'll make them pay the price. Diske. Wang Xian's heart sank. 20 minutes passed quickly and Enlai appeared in the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. Let's go. Wang Xian and the rest came before Enlai. A force enveloped them and brought them to the starry sky where the main god races were. If Enlai could teleport with the entire Dragon Palace, that would be awesome. Looking at the unfamiliar shadows around him, he thought to himself, let's go. Let's go to the place where the main god races hide their holy nations. The unbeginning Saint Wings appeared behind Wang Xian. He shrouded the heaven array and brought him to a direction instantly. He had absorbed the memories of the two Laozu from the main god races and knew the location of those holy nations. At this place there was no need for Enlai because he did not know where Enlai was. This time he brought the heaven array here for him to search with the array. He wanted to see which force dared to snatch their treasures. Ha 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 ha, I did not expect the treasures of the entire main god races to be hidden here. All the holy nations are here. At the same time, in a barren starry sky, the starry sky was surrounded by rocks and various abandoned items. The air was also filled with toxins. This was an ancient battlefield where the technological races once fought and killed each other. The spiritual energy here was thin. Those who were active here were god kings and god emperors. In a remote corner of this ancient battlefield, a dozen liches were floating in the sky and staring ahead with excitement. Chapter 3296. All the treasures belong to us liches. The god nations of over 10,000 universe paragons and over 7 million void god emperor disciples. This amount of treasures is too abundant. Even to us, the witch demon race, this is a huge treasure trove. The lich in the center stared ahead with a burning gaze. What he saw was a dazzling golden divine kingdom, and each divine kingdom contained an immense power. As far as the eye could see, it was like endless gold. Divine, boundless. Every powerhouse's divine kingdom was a resting place that powerhouse had spent his entire life building. It was the most precious existence in their lives. The value of these god kingdoms was terrifying. Even if these treasures were placed in the Great Desolate Continent, they would be enough to cause all the races to fight over them. A lich's eyes glowed. The wings on his back flapped rapidly as he flew forward. These god nations belong to us, the lich race. Set up the formation immediately. Tell the patriarch and the others to hurry over and collect all of the god nations. The lich in the center ordered. With so many god kingdoms, they wouldn't be able to carry them all even if they wanted to. However, as a powerful lich clan, they naturally had their own methods. The lich on the left was like a thin fish. His body wriggled and slowly grew larger. In the end, it shrank to a size of 100 kilometers. His body exuded a strange luster. Buzz buzz buzz. Dozens of seconds later, silhouettes slowly appeared on his body. Aha asked, well done, well done. A lich with the head of a demon dragon, the body of a snake, the tail of a bird, and the head of a demon dragon appeared. He looked around with excitement in his eyes as he roared. Around him there were hundreds of figures. Every single one of these figures had a terrifying aura. Especially around the leading lich, every single aura was terrifying and terrifying. This was the might of a rank 8 universe venerable. There were about 10 of them who exuded such a terrifying aura. The sorcerer clan belonged to the sorcerer clan, and they had once obtained the inheritance of a sorcerer ancestor. Every single one of them was abnormally strange and terrifying. Their bodies seemed to be pieced together, strange and horrifying. Clan leader, let's take all of them away in order to prevent any accidents from happening. The lich named Ask said with a smile. Ah, such a treasure belongs to our witch demon tribe. Anyone who dares to snatch it will be our enemy. Even if the Dragon Palace wants to snatch it from us, we will kill them. The chief of the lich demon tribe roared and waved his hand at his subordinates. That's right. We just need to worry about the potential of the Dragon Palace. But that's all. If we really fight, we can destroy the Dragon Palace. A lich laughed as he spoke. He immediately flew towards the Cosmos God Empire. With a wave of his arm, he immediately set up a formation to temporarily transfer these god kingdoms to his own god kingdom. Over 100 of them, the weakest was a Universe Venerable level 6. Their speed was very fast, and in a few minutes, over 1,000 god nations had been collected by them. Who is it? At this moment, the Shaman Demon Patriarch's gaze suddenly turned cold. His blood-red eyes stared at a spot in the sky. With a wave of his arm, a dragon head formed from the laws of darkness flew towards that spot. Sorry, Lord Lich King. We are just passing by. About 800 million kilometers away, a dozen figures hurriedly dodged to the side with cold sweat on their faces. They looked at the Shaman Demon Patriarch with a face full of fear and respect. Scram further away, or this king will destroy all of you. The Shaman Demon Patriarch, also known as the Shaman Demon King, stared coldly at the dozen of them. Yes. The dozen of them replied immediately. Go. At this moment, the dozen of them hurriedly retreated, their expressions ugly. I didn't expect the experts of the Shaman Demon tribe to actually come. Moreover, their speed of searching is so fast. Damn it. Among the dozen of them, the middle-aged leader had an ugly expression as he growled in a low voice. That divine kingdom, the densely packed divine kingdoms, it's too shocking. If we can obtain it, our tribe will be able to improve tremendously. We can't help it. The Shaman Demon tribe is proficient in witchcraft. We also followed their tracks and rushed over. We were a step too late. Now the Upright God tribe's treasure belongs to the Shaman Demon tribe. They are too strong. A middle-aged man beside him said helplessly, his eyes red with envy. Among them, the strongest was only a rank 7 universe supremacy, while the Shaman Demon tribe had rank 8 universe supremacies. This time, most of the rank 8 universe supremacies of the Shaman Demon tribe had come. At this time, even if the Dragon Palace's army came, they could forget about snatching it from the Shaman Demon tribe. Their faces were full of helplessness. With such experts here, they had no chance. There was nothing they could do even if they were unwilling. So, just as they were conversing, they saw a figure flying over at a terrifying speed. Another expert from the great desolate continent who opened the heavens has found this place. The group of people was taken aback. They immediately looked over, and their faces were filled with shock and doubt. At this time, Wang Xian, who was flying over, frowned slightly when he sensed the dozen figures. He slowed down a little and stared at the void in front of him. Oh no. When he saw the golden light that dyed the void red, his face changed slightly. This was the light of the holy kingdoms of the Upright God tribe. These holy kingdoms were hidden in the cracks of the void, and now they were taken out by someone. He moved and continued to fly forward, his face full of murderous intent. Still not scramming? Go to hell. However, just as Wang Xian approached, a wave of horrifying dark energy attacked him. Rank 8 universe supremacy. Wang Xian sensed the power and his heart skipped a beat. His eyes were filled with anger. Boom. He waved his arm and an annihilation sphere went up against it. Boom. The sound of an explosion reverberated. The Lich King, who was in the void in front, saw his attack blocked. He was slightly taken aback and squinted his dragon eyes. Only a rank 8 universe venerable would be able to contend against his attack. You should scram. How dare you snatch the spoils of war from the Dragon Palace? Wang Xian stared at the creepy Lich King and said coldly. Dragon Palace? At the holy kingdoms of the Orthodox gods, the Lich King's eyes narrowed when he heard Wang Xian. The experts of the Shaman Demon tribe who were collecting the holy kingdoms also stopped what they were doing and looked over. Their eyes revealed a sinister look. So what if it was the Dragon Palace? What was there to be afraid of? Chapter 3297. So what if we take it? Boom boom boom. So what if we take it? In front of the countless god nations, the powerful figures of the Lich race flew over. They exuded a sharp and horrifying aura as they charged towards Wang Xian without any scruples. They flew to the sides of the Lich King and sized Wang Xian up coldly. Looking at the experts flying over, Wang Xian's expression changed slightly and turned a little ugly. Haha, you want us to leave? You must be the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. The Lich King stared at Wang Xian with disdain. However, I don't think the Dragon Palace has the right to ask us to leave. The Lich race of the Lich country? Asked Wang Xian coldly as he swept his gaze across them. His expression was a little unpleasant. At the border of the chaotic continent, the Lich race of the Lich country. This was an extremely powerful race. Their strength was not something ordinary forces could compare to. They belonged to the sorcerer race and possessed strange witchcraft and attack methods. Ordinary forces did not dare to offend them. In front of him, there were 11 rank 8 universe venerable powerhouses. With so many experts, even with Wang Xian's strength, he wouldn't be a match for them. The current Wang Xian could fight and even kill 2 to 3 experts of the same level. The 5 elements grindstone in his hand could kill an expert of the same level. However, there were too many rank 8 supremacies on the other side. It was not something the current Dragon Palace could deal with. That's right. Dragon King, the treasures here belong to the Lich country. Anyone who dares to snatch from us will be the enemy of the Lich country. Once you step into our formation, it will be seen as a provocation. Don't blame us for being impolite. A Lich beside the Lich King said with a stern face. Although they couldn't attack the forces and powerhouses that besieged the continental starry sky, they could still kill them if the other party attacked first. Lich country, Lich race. Wang Xian heard him and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Today the Dragon King will say this. If you dare to touch any of the Cosmos God nations here, the Dragon Palace will be the enemy of the Lich country. Haha, are you threatening us? A small Dragon Palace like you dares to threaten our Lich Kingdom? When the Lich King heard his words, a sinister look appeared in his eyes. Today I shall take away all the Cosmos God countries. I want to see how your Dragon Palace can go against my Lich country. Do you really think that just because you're invincible in the continent encirclement starry sky, our Lich Kingdom is afraid of you? Aha, you guys aren't qualified yet. As he spoke, his eyes were also filled with killing intent and disdain. Dragon King of Dragon Palace, don't be arrogant in front of us. Attack us if you have the guts. A Lich standing beside the Lich King said coldly, if it weren't for the rules of the chaotic continent, I would have taught you a lesson for what you said just now. Get lost. Without the restraint of the rules, your Dragon Palace is nothing in front of the Witch Nation. Boom boom boom. As his voice trailed off, a violent aura gushed towards Wang Xian. In the surroundings, the rest of the Lich Kingdom's experts also rushed forward with their auras. Wang Xian's expression changed when he sensed the horrifying aura. He stared coldly at the group of experts from the Lich Kingdom. Collect all the Cosmos God countries. Today, whoever dares to snatch from the Lich Kingdom shall die. The Lich King roared with a sinister look. Yes. In the sky above the Cosmos God countries, some Liches who were collecting the Cosmos God countries responded immediately. After the Lich King finished, he stared at Wang Xian with his head slightly raised. This Lich Kingdom isn't giving any face to the Dragon King of Dragon Palace. Face? This is the Cosmos God countries of more than 10,000 supremacies. The treasures of the entire Cosmos God country is a bountiful resource even for the Lich Kingdom. Why would they give it up? Even if it means offending the Dragon Palace, it's nothing. That's right. The Lich Kingdom is much stronger than the Dragon Palace. So what if they don't give face to the Dragon King? Not to mention the Lich Kingdom, even if we were facing so many Cosmos God countries, we would also make the same choice. At the back, the dozen middle-aged and old men could not help but discuss softly when they saw the scene in front of them. Wang Xian floated quietly in the void as he watched the experts of the Lich Kingdom collect the Cosmos God countries. In front of him, the huge devil dragon head of the Lich King was also staring at Wang Xian. His eyes were filled with coldness and disdain. As the Cosmos God countries were collected, Wang Xian could only stand there and watch. The strength of the other party was not something that he could contend with. The strength of the Lich Kingdom was also not something that the Dragon Palace could deal with. Lich Kingdom, you will regret what you have done today. Wang Xian stared at the Lich King and said calmly. Haha, cut the crap. Your Dragon Palace is not qualified to make us regret. The Lich King said with disdain. Dragon King, these Cosmos God countries can greatly enhance the strength of the Devouring Dragon clan. Those damn guys. It seems like after Wuxia has collected the Cosmos God countries, he should bring his subordinates to the Lich Kingdom. Tianjin stood behind Wang Xian and said with a gloomy face. They had never expected their spoils of war, the treasures of the Orthodox God clans, to be snatched away by the powerful forces of the chaotic continent. There's no need to wait for Wuxia and the rest to break through. I'll go over. Although I can't kill the experts, it won't be a problem for me to wipe out all the universe venerables below level 7 in the Lich Kingdom. Enlai said coldly. Given his strength, entering the Lich Kingdom would make the entire Lich Kingdom pay a heavy price. Indeed, there's no need to wait. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and said, I'll make them spit it all out. Let's go. As he spoke, he did not stay here any longer. He turned around and flew back. Trash. In front, the Lich King saw Wang Xian leaving and his face was filled with ridicule and disdain. The Dragon King and the rest have left. What else can they do if they don't leave? The Dragon Palace is no match for the Lich Kingdom. The Dragon Palace has suffered a great loss this time. The forces surrounding the chaotic continent might not dare to touch their treasures, but the forces of the chaotic continent dare to. At the back, the dozen people saw Wang Xian and the rest leaving and smiled as they shook their heads. Rumble. However, at this moment they suddenly felt an energy fluctuation at the side. The figure of the Dragon King appeared in front of them at a terrifying speed. This made the dozen of them change their expressions. Thank you, Green Maple and Lone Wolf, for your constant support. You've been tipping me every day. Thank you. Chapter 3298. Oh no! What is the Dragon King trying to do? When the experts from the chaotic continent saw Wang Xian appearing beside them in an instant, their pupils constricted and their faces were filled with horror. They could feel the threat of death looming over them. Without any hesitation, some tried to escape while others tried to escape back to their own cosmic god nation. A bunch of idiots. My Dragon Palace has said that whoever covets our spoils of war shall die. Wang Xian stared at them coldly. His eyes were filled with malice. His arm turned into a dragon claw and enveloped all of them. Boom. In the next instant, death loomed over them. No. Dragon King, no. Their expressions changed drastically. Wang Xian's terrifying speed gave them no chance to escape. Their eyes were bloodshot as they roared with indignation. Bam. But in the next instant, the destructive energy landed on them and wiped out their vitality rapidly. However, one of the middle-aged men emitted a dull yellow radiance. The dull yellow radiance flashed and disappeared, leaving behind a corpse. Around him, the other dozen people were also killed by the demons. Even a rank 7 universe venerable couldn't withstand a single move from Wang Xian. Wang Xian snorted coldly as his face was filled with cold killing intent. Go back, he said to Tianzhen and Enlai before disappearing. Tianzhen and Enlai returned to the Dragon Palace instantly. Whoosh. Damn it. Damn the Dragon King. They aren't a match for the Sorcerer Demon race. They didn't dare to do anything to the Sorcerer Demon race and wanted to kill us. You guys from the Dragon Palace deserve to die. Just as Wang Xian returned to the Dragon Palace at the same time, in a swamp at the edge of Chaotic Continent. On the dull yellow swamp, there were several dull yellow palaces. These palaces weren't stationary as some of them slowly entered the swamp. In one of the palaces, a lifeless mud man slowly showed signs of life. He opened his eyes and his face was filled with endless anger. His body was trembling. He was a person who had died once. Even if he was resurrected now, the price of resurrection was too great. Moreover, more than a dozen of his companions had been killed by the Dragon King. How did they offend the Dragon King? It was because the Dragon King thought they were easy to bully. Dragon King. His face was filled with unwillingness as he roared, his body trembling violently. However, he knew that he was no match for the Dragon King. Their race was no match for the Dragon Palace. The Mudman's body trembled violently. A few minutes later he took out the Universe AI and immediately began to write information on it. Even if he could not take revenge, he wanted to discuss the Dragon King. Dragon King, what about the Orthodox gods? In the Dragon Palace, when Prime Minister Turtle saw Wang Xian and the rest return, he frowned and walked over to ask the Dragon King softly. It's been occupied by the Lich country. They have 11 level 8 universe venerables there. Turtle Prime Minister, search the AI for information regarding the Lich country. Wang Xian instructed him with a solemn face. His body moved and he sat on the dragon throne. The anger in his heart also gradually calmed down. Since the experts of the Lich country, the Lich King wanted to go against the Dragon Palace and play along with the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian would play along with them. The strongest expert in the entire Lich country was only a level 8 universe venerables. Wang Xian and the Dragon Palace had this trump card to play with them. He wanted the Lich country to spit out all the things they had obtained. He wanted them to pay a hefty price. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle's expression changed slightly as he nodded immediately. Prime Minister Turtle could naturally imagine how massive the god countries and treasures of the Orthodox gods were. Disregarding everything else, just those god countries alone could greatly enhance the devouring dragon clan. As for other resources, there was no need to mention them. These resources were significant and important to the Dragon Palace. However, he did not expect them to be snatched away. He immediately turned on the AI and ordered some of his subordinates to start searching for information regarding the Lich country. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne and pondered for a while. His figure disappeared instantly and came to the Crimson Gold Battle Dragon Palace beside the Dragon Palace. At this moment, half of the building materials in the Dragon Palace were gone. Roving Crab's massive body was still devouring continuously. Dragon King. Sensing Wang Xian's arrival, Roving Crab immediately stopped and greeted him. How long will it take to devour this Dragon Palace and the Dragon Palace of the Tempest Thunder Divine Dragon? Wang Xian asked him directly. Dragon King, I'm afraid it will take another year or two. This Dragon Palace is too sturdy and rich in energy. Roving Crab replied immediately. The Dragon Palace of a powerful Dragon King wasn't that easy to devour. Back then, even a level 8 or 9 universe venerable expert couldn't break through these Dragon Palaces. Roving Crab was also devouring from the inside. If it was from the outside, he wouldn't even be able to bite through it. It was within his expectations that the devouring would be so slow. It's alright. There's no hurry. Wang Xian nodded his head. This speed wasn't slow at all. Initially, Wang Xian had planned to wait until the Dragon Palace reached the continental encirclement starry sky and absorb the orthodox gods and ancient sea races for a few years before landing. However, some of the plans were disrupted by the Lich country. However, he still didn't intend to land immediately. The landing battle would have to wait until Roving Crab and the rest had leveled up. As for the Lich country, Wang Xian could settle it even without Roving Crab and the rest. He moved and immediately returned to the Dragon Palace. He switched on the Universe AI and searched for information about the Lich country. The Lich country was a force at the border of the chaotic continent. The landing battle could also be carried out in the Lich country. However, basically, no forces would choose to do so. They were considered to be among the top 3 forces at the border of the continent. The sorcerer lineage was originally one of the most elite lineages. They could fight beyond their level and had bizarre attacks. This made the other forces in the chaotic continent fearful. However, when Wang Xian started searching for information about the Lich country, he saw the latest news. The treasures of the righteous god clans, the divine kingdoms of all the experts and elites, were all obtained by the Lich kingdom. When the Dragon King rushed over, he could only flee with his tail between his legs while facing the experts of the Lich clan. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace is too arrogant. The forces in the continental encirclement starry sky wouldn't dare to touch your spoils of war. However, the forces in the chaotic continent dare to touch them. Now that all the treasures of the orthodox gods have been taken by the Lich country, the Dragon King doesn't even dare to let out a fart. There were several similar pieces of news. Moreover, they were still quite popular. This made Wang Xian raise his eyebrows slightly. Chapter 3299. What happened? The treasures of the upright god races were taken by the powerful forces of the chaotic continent? The experts from the Lich kingdom of the chaotic continent took the treasures of the upright god races? No way, it was really taken over by the Lich kingdom? The Dragon Palace has suffered a great loss this time. This is the holy kingdom of over 10,000 supremacies, and all the treasures of the upright god races. To think that the Lich kingdom took over. The Lich kingdom is very strong. They have over 10 rank 8 supremacies. The Dragon Palace is not their match. When someone posted the news about the treasures of the upright god races on the Universe AI, it attracted a lot of attention and excitement. The Dragon Palace annihilated the 2 races and warned the other races not to touch the treasures of the 2 races. The forces surrounding the continental starry sky did not dare to make a move. But what they did not expect was that the powerful forces of the chaotic continent dared to make a move, and even took over the treasures. The continental starry sky did not know much about the Lich kingdom. But they also knew that it was not an ordinary force at the edge of the chaotic continent. It was a powerful force. Through the Universe AI, they could find some basic information about the Lich kingdom. Not to mention anything else, just the dozen or so rank 8 universe venerable powerhouses were not something that the forces surrounding the continent could compare to. Even the Dragon Palace was not a match for the Lich kingdom. Not to mention, now that the experts had revealed the treasures, the Dragon King could only escape dejectedly. The treasures of the upright god races were taken by others. To the Dragon Palace it was a huge loss. Most importantly, the Dragon Palace could not do anything about it. This caused the experts of the continental starry sky to discuss in shock. This was a huge blow to the prestige of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian looked at the information on the universe AI, his eyes shining. If I'm not wrong, it was revealed by the guy who escaped. Wang Xian murmured. This matter could not have been revealed by the Lich Kingdom. They had already taken over the treasures, there was no need to anger the Dragon Palace. After all, although the Dragon Palace was not as powerful as them, there were still experts who could match them in terms of peak combat power. In that case, it could only be the dozen or so experts that he had killed. One of them managed to escape with the help of a powerful life-saving treasure. Looking at the messages posted by the same account, a cold look appeared in his eyes. Not only were there the two messages at the beginning, but there were also many who said that the Dragon King was trash and that such an existence would be killed sooner or later in the chaotic continent. He also told the Dragon Palace not to be too arrogant. There were many powerful existences in the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world. Arrogance would lead to destruction. He had sent more than a dozen messages. It was clear that this guy hated the Dragon King to the core. So this is what a keyboard warrior is. Do you really think that there's nothing we can do to you just because you escaped? The corner of Wang Xian's mouth curved into a smirk as a cold look flashed across his eyes. He had already collected the corpses. Through the corpses, he would be able to find out which faction they came from in the desolate continent. The other party only dared to make noise on the universe artificial intelligence, which proved that the strength of this race was inferior to that of the Dragon Palace. Otherwise they wouldn't be hiding behind the keyboard, taunting and cursing. Time passed day by day. It was gradually confirmed that the treasures of the orthodox god races had been taken away by the experts of the witch nation of the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world. Meanwhile, the Dragon Palace entered the starry sky completely. They didn't go to the orthodox god races but flew directly to the origin of the Guhai race. The god nations of the Guhai race experts were hidden everywhere. Moreover, the treasures of the Guhai race couldn't be compared to those of the orthodox god races. Therefore, no faction from the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world coveted the treasures of the Guhai race. After another 10 days, the Dragon Palace arrived at the starry sky where the Guhai race was. Over the next few days, the Dragon Palace started to search for the god nations of the Guhai race experts. Dragon King, I broke through. 2 days later, the strength of the heavenly formation broke through completely. A level 7 universe supremacy was considered pretty good in the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world. Good. Come with me. Wang Xian looked at the heavenly formation and said. In the past 12 days, besides collecting more information about the witch nation, he had been waiting for the heavenly formation to break through. This time, he still needed the heavenly formation to investigate some matters. For example, the dozen races that he had killed. That fellow had been clamoring on the universe AI for a long time. Chu Xian was prepared to give them a surprise. Yes, Dragon King. The heavenly formation nodded. Let's head over directly. Enter the mother nest and wait for further orders. As Wang Xian spoke, he waved his arm and kept the heavenly formation into the mother nest. After instructing Prime Minister Turtle, he flew out of the Dragon Palace and arrived at the teleportation formation of the Guhai race planet. Currently, the Dragon Palace was receiving all the treasures and legacies of the Guhai race. The Dragon Palace was also temporarily staying in a sea region. After 2 transfers through the teleportation formation, Wang Xian appeared on the planet of the Guhai race in front of the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world. Now this planet had been taken over by the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian moved and flew towards the direction of the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world at a terrifying speed. After flying for half an hour, an incomparably vast continent appeared in his line of sight. An ancient and primordial aura came from the continent in front of them. Wang Xian looked at the indescribably huge continent and felt the primordial aura. A faint sense of respect rose in his heart. The chaotic land of the heaven-opening world. The center of the universe, the first continent at the beginning of the world. The birthplace of all living things. Looking at the vast land, Wang Xian slowed down a little. As the continent got closer, he could feel how insignificant he was. Even though he had reached the combat power of a rank 8 universe venerable, he still felt insignificant on this continent. On the continent, there were all kinds of tall trees, huge mountains, and all kinds of wild beasts flying in the sky and running on the ground. Is this the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world? Even the spiritual energy is unusually dense. When he came to the sky above the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world, Wang Xian scanned the surrounding grass and trees. In the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world, every living thing had the possibility of developing spiritual intelligence. Grass, trees, mountains, and even rivers had the possibility of possessing intelligence. Therefore, it was best not to cause wanton destruction in the chaotic land of the heaven-opening world. This was because one might accidentally touch the roots or territory of a powerful existence and be attacked. Chapter 3300. Chaotic Continent was a place where the strong preyed on the weak. Once the experts from the surrounding starry skies entered this place, they would be killed. Here the only rule was survival of the fittest. The entire chaotic wasteland continent was huge, so huge that it exceeded everyone's imagination. As the origin of life in the universe, the number of supremacies here was terrifying. Here, only rank 7 supremacies and above could be called experts. The closer to the center of the chaotic continent, the more experts there were. This was because the area near the center was where the disciples of the high-level and pinnacle races were active. In the entire chaotic continent, the major races occupied the majority. There was a small portion occupied by some dire beasts and giant galactic beasts, and some intelligent and powerful plants occupied the mountains and rivers. Don't underestimate them. The most famous place in the chaotic continent was the classic of mountains and seas. That was the paradise of the dire beasts and giant galactic beasts. The strength of the dire beasts and giant galactic beasts there was comparable to the strength of a pinnacle race. Even the experts of the pinnacle races had to be careful when they stepped into that place. Some strange dire beasts and giant galactic beasts might make one unable to escape even if one wanted to. Wang Xian floated in the void, his eyes glimmering as he scanned the surroundings. A map of the great desolate continent appeared in his mind. At the border there were many intermediate and high-level races. There were more than 100 of them. Of course, this was only the races that were closer to Wang Xian. The closer they were to the edge, the weaker the races were. He flew straight in. Divine grass and trees could be seen everywhere. The plants at the divine realm were completely ordinary. With a single glance, he could see quite a few God-King level plants. It could be said that if a divine king level existence was thrown into the chaotic continent, as long as he could survive, it would be a piece of cake for him to reach the divine emperor level. But it was extremely difficult for the weak to survive here, unless they had their own race as a backer. Wang Xian flew at a height of 1,000,000 meters in the chaotic continent. This height was usually at the top of the trees and the waist of some small mountains. Any higher and he might be attacked by some dire beast. The yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes scanned the surroundings curiously. The spiritual energy there is so dense. Is there a paradise or treasure? After flying for half an hour, Wang Xian suddenly sensed dense spiritual energy coming from a direction. He hesitated for a moment before flying over to take a look. At the edge there weren't many creatures that could threaten him. Soon a river appeared in his sight. The river was very strange. It was at least 1 billion kilometers long and tens of millions of kilometers wide. This kind of river could only be called a small river in the great desolate continent. At this moment there were many fish with wings in the river. There were many fish and they emitted powerful auras and might. This river is so strange. It feels like it has a life of its own. Wang Xian looked over curiously. He scanned the river and the fish in it before flying over immediately. Before he could get close, the entire river suddenly changed. The river, which was originally flowing on the ground, was at least a few million kilometers deep, but now, it directly sank into the ground. The winged fishes inside had all disappeared. It was like an illusion. This river should have a life of its own. My approach should have made it feel threatened, so it immediately fled. Wang Xian scanned the river with his yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes, but he couldn't find any trace of the fish in the river. How mysterious. Perhaps this ability prevented them from being caught by other experts. He murmured. With a move, he continued flying inside. This time his main goal was the Lich Kingdom. His secondary goal was to tour the great desolate continent. Wang Xian sped up a little and flew past the towering peaks that pierced the clouds. The Lich Kingdom was a little far away. If he were to fly there, he would need at least 2 days. In the middle of the journey, he had seen some of the sights of the great desolate continent. Incomparably mystical creatures, strange attacks that were impossible to defend against. In fact, Wang Xian was attacked twice during the 2 days he was flying. The guy who attacked him the second time didn't succeed and even escaped successfully. This made Wang Xian extremely surprised. I'm here. The territory of the Lich Kingdom is just ahead. 2 days later, Wang Xian looked ahead according to the information he had obtained. The Lich Kingdom was the territory of the Lich race. Within the Lich Kingdom, there was a blessed land called the Demon Refining Island. Inside the blessed enclave, the monstrous beasts could quickly recover from any injuries sustained on the island. That was the sacred land of the Lich race. It was also a natural blessed land in the Great Desolate Continent. The mysterious Great Desolate Continent had given birth to a large number of blessed lands. These blessed lands possessed all kinds of abilities. Some grotto heavens and blessed lands could even release powerful defensive abilities to protect the living beings within them. The Demon Refining Island was the reliance of the Lich Kingdom. It was also one of the reasons why the Lich race was so powerful. Other than the blessed lands of the Lich Kingdom, there were many liches, demonic beasts, and dire beasts living in the entire territory. There were 12 main cities of the Lich Kingdom. There were hundreds of millions of liches in the entire Lich Kingdom. These hundreds of millions of liches weren't something that the ordinary people of the forces surrounding the continent could compare to. The environment of the Great Desolate Continent was extremely cruel. If the Orthodox God races were to launch a land invasion and were to succeed, the trillions of people of the Orthodox God races would be reduced to a few hundred million in tens of millions of years. It was extremely cruel. However, those who remained were the most elite and the most powerful existences. As for the reason, it might be related to some special secrets. There are 12 main cities of the Lich Kingdom. Each main city has more than 10 million people and there are rank 8 universe supremacies in charge. Next, I'll start with these main cities. The resources of the Dragon Palace aren't that easy to snatch. Wang Xian's eyes flickered with coldness. He landed on the ground. Dragon scales gradually covered his face and a pair of dragon horns appeared. His entire person had undergone a drastic change. He took out the universe AI to determine his location. After which, he walked towards one of the main cities of the Lich Kingdom. The Scorpion Emperor City was one of the 12 main cities of the Lich Kingdom. The entire main city was considered a mid-tier main city in the Lich Kingdom. Wang Xian walked on the ground. As this was the territory of the Lich Kingdom, there weren't many dire beasts. There were even fewer creatures that hunted in the dark. As Wang Xian continued walking forward, he noticed layers of poisonous barriers ahead of him. Poison was a common means of attack for the sorcerers. Chapter 3301. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find this website today. Dear readers, please remember this website's domain name, Book Ocean Pavilion, and find your way home. Scorpion Emperor City was a city shrouded in poisonous fog. In this city, without antidotes or antidotes, even a void First Order God Emperor expert would not be able to survive here. The entire Scorpion Emperor City was filled with corrosive energy. TSK, some places in the chaotic continent are indeed mystical. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. This place was not suitable for ordinary living beings. Even ordinary members of the Dragon Palace would have their combat power reduced if they came here. According to the universe artificial intelligence, every city in the Lich country is built on a small-scale blessed land. Are the blessed land here related to poison? He mumbled to himself as he continued flying forward. Half an hour later, he found signs of living beings in the surroundings. Suddenly, he felt a thread of blood extending towards him. This caused him to squint his eyes and continue walking forward. Catch him. When the bloodlines reached Wang Xian's feet, 3 voices suddenly sounded. He could sense 3 figures covered in blood and poisonous fog attacking him. At the same time, the crimson lines beneath him rose and formed a poisonous web that enshrouded Wang Xian completely. Ambush? Wang Xian squinted his eyes as he looked over. Of the 3 liches, one had a human head and a lizard-like body. His body had completely blended in with his surroundings. One had a pair of wings and on his head, there were dozens of densely packed eyes. The last one was like a giant python with a body length of 10,000 meters. He charged towards Wang Xian. Wang Xian stared at the creature that was charging at him with a cold look in his eyes. Not good. When they charged towards Wang Xian, they sensed Wang Xian's calmness and the energy ripples from his body. The lich with dozens of pairs of eyes had a change in expression as he growled. Courting death. Wang Xian was shocked when he saw his strong alertness. He waved his arm and restrained the lich with the energy of the 5 elements. Sir, spare me, spare me. When the 3 liches who had been subdued saw this scene, their expressions changed drastically, and they begged for mercy in horror. Soul assimilation. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and the 3 liches trembled. Waves of information flowed into his mind. As he absorbed the information, his eyes sparkled. This heaven-splitting desolate continent is even crueler than the outside world. 10 minutes later, he slowly opened his eyes and murmured. According to his understanding, these three fellows wanted to ambush and kill him. The reason was that the lich with the human head wanted his own head. It was that simple. He wanted his head. In the Lich Kingdom, the Lich race had two methods of cultivation. One was to walk the path of pure witchcraft in terms of spells. But the liches were of a different kind. They hunted down powerful creatures and transferred the creature's head, wings, tail, eyes, and some other things to themselves. Through this method he could strengthen himself. This was another way for witchcraft to become stronger, and also the second path for wizards. This path was as powerful as pure witchcraft. However, to reach the level of the ancestor of witchcraft, one's physical body in witchcraft had to reach a terrifying level. How dare they want my head? Wang Xian shook his head. They had realized that their heads were a little special and wanted to transfer them. From their memories, Wang Xian also understood another point. It was extremely dangerous in the wilderness of the chaotic continent when the heavens were opened. Even the disciples and experts in the Lich Kingdom would kill and plunder each other. As long as they became stronger, they would be able to obtain more resources and better places for cultivation. Within the Scorpion Emperor city, there was indeed a blessed place where one could cultivate a powerful poison body. However, to enter that place to cultivate, one would need to pay a huge amount of resources. Wang Xian had gained some understanding of the information within the Scorpion Emperor city. He moved his body and continued to fly forward. Not long after, the huge city within the poisonous fog appeared in his sight. The entire city was huge with the mountain as the city wall. From afar it looked mysterious and creepy. The surrounding poisonous mist had all spilled out from this place. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and continued to fly in. The Scorpion Emperor city was an open city. Outsiders could also enter. Of course, if a large number of strangers entered, they would also be monitored. When Wang Xian entered alone, he did not attract much attention. Upon entering the Scorpion Emperor city, Wang Xian saw a large number of citizens of the Lich Kingdom. Each and every one of them was a powerful lich. The entire Scorpion Emperor city was like a zoo of mutants. There were various kinds of lich that were put together and exuded a variety of creepy and evil aura. Most of them were mainly dark and poisonous. As Wang Xian flew above the city, he could smell the thick stench of blood. No wonder lich is called evil, mysterious, creepy, and powerful. Some of the lich in the Scorpion Emperor city are indeed creepy and evil. Wang Xian murmured. Because his cultivation method was destined to be brutal and evil. Swoosh. After flying for half an hour, he began to speed up. The entire Scorpion Emperor city was filled with oddly shaped buildings. Some residences were like nests. Others were like strange wormholes. There were very few buildings like this. Let's go to the center of the Scorpion Emperor city and take a look at the Grotto Heaven and then destroy this place. Wang Xian's eyes revealed a sinister look. This time he was here to destroy the Lich Kingdom. He would kill as many as he could. Wang Xian did not show any mercy to these oddly shaped mutants and the group of Lich demons. They were pursuing the law of the jungle. In that case they would perish in the jungle. Near the center of the Scorpion Emperor city, an incomparably huge ball stood there. The diameter of the ball was hundreds of millions of kilometers. On the ball there were holes of various sizes. From time to time, experts would enter and exit these holes. This is the poison lair of the Scorpion Emperor city? A grotto heaven and grotto heaven that is connected to the chaotic continent. All the poison barriers are leaking out from here. Wang Xian murmured. With a move, the yin-yang dragon coil appeared around him. Yin and yang rotated and his figure gradually disappeared. Wang Xian made a move and flew inside. Tsk. Just as he arrived in front of a cave, a corrosive force suddenly attacked him. When Wang Xian saw this he was slightly shocked. He had used the yin-yang dragon coil to conceal himself, but he was still discovered. Chapter 3302, Scorpion Emperor City. Unknown creatures have invaded the Scorpion Emperor Grotto Heaven. Who dares to barge into the Scorpion Emperor Grotto Heaven with a death wish? The corrosive energy prevented Wang Xian from entering the Grotto Heaven. Following which, figures flew out from the Grotto Heaven one after another. They carried powerful poisonous gases with them and charged towards Wang Xian like they were solid poison gases. Tsk, since I can't go in and check it out, I'll just kill my way in. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He wasn't here to play today. He was here to destroy the Scorpion Emperor city and attack the Lich Kingdom. Since he had been discovered, there was no need to hide. Moreover, based on what he knew, The Lich Kingdom had 12 main cities and each main city had a rank 8 venerable Lich city lord. Wang Xian was confident that he could kill a rank 8 venerable Lich within 10 seconds. Boom. His body shook, and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. With a move of his body he barged into the Scorpion King's cave. Bam. The defense of the grotto heaven was broken by him. As soon as he entered, he saw thousands of liches attacking him. Every lich had a combat power no lower than a universe venerable rank 5. Haha, as long as there are more liches in the Lich Kingdom, we can make up for the losses of the upright god races. Wang Xian laughed and waved his arm, turning it into a dragon claw. The dragon claw tore forward. The dragon claw contained a terrifying aura that made the thousands of liches who were charging towards him change their expressions. Oh no, the invaders are too strong. Among the thousands of liches, there were liches with strong senses and keen perception of danger. The instant Wang Xian struck, some of the liches fled to the back. Can you escape? Die all of you. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He waved his dragon claw and attacked them. You can't escape. One of the liches shouted coldly with bloodshot eyes. Buzz 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 buzz. In an instant, all kinds of attacks covered Wang Xian. Some of the liches had densely packed eyeballs and each eyeball was emitting a blood-red glow. Some of the liches had their chests split open and large amounts of poisonous gas rushed forward. All kinds of strange attacks were launched. Vanish. However, their strength was still not enough to deal with Wang Xian. The strongest level 7 universe supremacy, the Lich Demon, couldn't even withstand a single blow from Wang Xian. Bam bam bam. Ao, fight, fight, there's a strong enemy invading. Miserable cries and collisions were heard. In an instant, close to 1,000 liches were killed by Wang Xian. However, there were still a few liches who managed to dodge the fatal blow and roared at the people below. At the bottom of the spherical Scorpion King heavenly abode was a poison pool. The entire poison pool was emitting black and green light. Many figures were hidden in the light. Not good, it's a rank 8 universe venerable, our Scorpion Claw City Lord isn't here. A lich with a huge vertical eye said solemnly with a serious expression. Immediately informed the city lord to use the grotto heaven to protect the enemy. Next to him was a slender woman with a beautiful head. However, there were countless venomous snakes coiling around her head. The strangest thing was that the lich who spoke only had a strange and bewitching head. There was no other body. Kill? He spat out a chilling murderous intent as his body shook. Kill. How dare you invade our Scorpion King country, die. Sky-piercing miasma rise. A few liches roared. The aura they exuded was at rank 7 universe supremacies. Swoosh. In the poison pool below them, a green scorpion flew out. Whoever dares to invade our Scorpion King heavenly abode, die. A dense voice that seemed to be overlapping with countless voices came from within the scorpion's body. The scorpion was 1,000 meters long and cracks appeared in the void around it. It stared at Wang Xian in the sky and dashed over instantly. The surrounding 5 liches exchanged glances and followed the scorpion. This scorpion doesn't seem to be an expert known to the liches country. No, this creature is a little special. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and stared at the scorpion that was attacking him. The green scorpion with black spots gave off a terrifying aura. The strangest thing was that there were thousands of faces on the scorpion's head. Every face was hideous as they stared at Wang Xian with bloodthirsty eyes. It said that every power that enters the great desolate continent will be able to occupy a blessed land. Each blessed land has a different effect. This scorpion must be a guardian monster created by the liches country using a special method. This monster can't leave the Scorpion King heavenly abode, but it can still unleash terrifying strength. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. The chaotic continent was the first continent in the universe and also the most central existence. It had nurtured countless races and naturally had many mystical places. At this time, the faces on the scorpion's head opened their mouths and poisonous threads attacked Wang Xian instantly. Wang Xian focused his eyes and waved his arm. A wave of 5 elements annihilation shrouded the poisonous threads. However, to his surprise, the poisonous threads penetrated his annihilation force instantly. This isn't an ordinary rank 8 universe supremacy, Wang Xian murmured. In the next moment, the 5 elements grindstone appeared around him with the yin-yang dragon coiling around him. Kill. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with malice as he attacked the poisonous scorpion. Bam. His arm turned into a dragon claw and clawed at the poisonous scorpion. As for the poisonous scorpion, It extended its claws that were dripping with dark green venom towards Wang Xian's dragon claw. Bam! A sound of collision was heard. Wang Xian felt the dragon claw stiffen slightly as various toxins entered his body. The yin-yang dragon coiled around and expelled the toxins immediately. Bam! In the sky above, a grayish shadow of a divine dragon swooped down from the 5 elements grindstone. Around the shadow of the divine dragon, there was a sun, coffin, pagoda, ice sword, fire blade and rope. Boom! The terrifying attack from the 5 elements grindstone landed on the poisonous scorpion. Ah! The poisonous scorpion screamed in pain. More than half of the faces on the poisonous scorpion's head cracked and corroded rapidly. It looked extremely bloody. Tiske. Dragon eyes lock. Wang Xian let out a cold snort and the chains wrapped around it. The opponent is strong. Below, the group of rank 7 universe supremacies from Scorpion Imperial City saw this scene. Their eyes narrowed as they roared. Chapter 3303, Scorpion Emperor City in Rumble, Rumble, Rumble. The group of rank 7 supremacies roared as they launched a series of terrifying attacks towards the blood-red chains. At the same time, the entire Scorpion Emperor cave erupted with a terrifying aura. Wisps of green poisonous fog rushed out of the holes and into the sky. The poisonous fog was like a beacon. Someone is invading our city god cave. Everyone in Scorpion Emperor City, prepare for battle. Prepare for battle. Kill the invaders. Kill, kill, kill. In an instant, figures soared into the sky from Scorpion Emperor City and flew towards the Scorpion Emperor Cave. More than 10 million people in the entire city all rushed over in unison. The terrifying energy soared into the sky in an instant. Against the invaders, everyone in Scorpion Emperor City was united. At the same time, within the Scorpion Emperor Cave, Wang Xian snorted. In the entire Scorpion Emperor Cave, no living creature could pose any threat to him, not even the poisonous scorpion. The chains wrapped around the poisonous scorpion. The attacks from the surrounding rank 7 supremacies did not cause much damage when they landed on the chains. Wang Xian's dragon claws reached for the poisonous scorpion again. No, no, no. Run, run, run. The densely packed faces on the poisonous scorpion's head were horrified when they saw Wang Xian's terrifying attack. They let out blood-curdling screams, shaking their bodies as they tried to escape downwards. However, in front of Wang Xian, the rank 8 supremacies could not put up much resistance. The dragon claws grabbed the poisonous scorpion, and waves of energy surged into its body. Oh no, our city lord isn't here. We are no match for him. Run, run, run. When the group of rank 7 venerable liches below saw this, their pupils constricted. They knew that they were no match for him. Run. At this time they could only run. Do you think you can escape? Wang Xian waved his dragon claws, and the hideous faces on the poisonous scorpion collapsed. He kept the poisonous scorpion, flapped his unbeginning saint wings and charged towards them. How terrifying was Wang Xian's speed! It was comparable to a rank 9 supremacy. Among them, even those who specialized in speed were far from Wang Xian's. No, no, don't kill me. All disciples flee. Flee. The level 7 universe supremacies were in despair when they sensed Wang Xian's speed. Some liches begged for mercy, some liches warned the disciples in Scorpion Emperor City. Pupiu. However, all of them were easily killed by Wang Xian. Not good, the lords in the Scorpion King's abode are no match for the intruders, let us escape. From all directions, the disciples of Scorpion Emperor City who were flying over heard the commotion, and their expressions changed drastically. Many of the experts stopped in their tracks. In the next moment, a terrifying roar was heard. Wang Xian flew out of the Scorpion King's cave and transformed into his divine dragon form. Now his body had reached 100,000 meters tall. His terrifying body was like a mountain range containing a terrifying might and aura. He swayed his dragon body and swept his dragon tail in all directions. A grayish energy spread out in all directions at a terrifying speed. Not good, the opponent's strength is terrifying. Let's escape. The liches in Scorpion Emperor City felt the aura from Wang Xian and roared in fear. Boom. However, the terrifying destructive force had already killed millions of liches instantly. Their corpses fell to the ground. Damn it, what kind of expert did our Scorpion Emperor City offend? How could he be so terrifying? Some liches in Scorpion Emperor City sensed this scene, widened their eyes and fled for their lives. True dragon body, Inferno Divine Dragon. Wang Xian let out a low roar, and his entire body turned into a body of flames. Terrifying flames spewed out in all directions. The terrifying flames caused all the surrounding liches to be filled with shock. Trying to escape? I'm going to annihilate the city today. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. With a thought, the 5 elements grindstone flew to the back. He flew forward. The 5 elements grindstone expanded rapidly to a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers. The various acquired spiritual treasures and acquired supreme treasures that had been absorbed attacked the liches one by one. Run, run, run. Hide in your universe god kingdom. Run. Scorpion Emperor City had no resistance against Wang Xian's rampage. Wang Xian swayed his huge body, and the flames attacked in all directions. In the surroundings, the mountains collapsed and the buildings burst into flames. Half of Scorpion Emperor City was in a sea of fire. Coupled with Wang Xian's terrifying speed, a large number of liches were killed by him. Only a few were able to escape. The entire Scorpion Emperor City was being slaughtered by him. At the same time, in the main city of the Liches country, Liches City stood on the body of a skeleton. The entire skeleton was embedded in the ground, and the size of this skeleton was abnormally terrifying. It was rumored that at the beginning of the universe, living beings were born in the chaotic continent. When living beings were just born, they suffered from the calamity of heaven and earth and died in it. Then it fused with the great desolate continent, forming a special paradise. Within the head of this huge skeleton, hundreds of liches stood excitedly. In the middle of them, a large number of treasures were piled up. Even the experts of the liches country were tempted by these treasures. Haha, our liches country has a great harvest this time. Every city will get a share of resources. The Lich King laughed heartily as he stood in the middle of the large number of treasures. Lich King, the harvest this time is equivalent to our harvest for hundreds of millions of years. TSK, you are indeed the strongest force in the continental encirclement starry sky. Your accumulation is rich. The Dragon Palace still wants to compete with us. At most, they have a rank 8 universe venerable. How dare they fight with us? They are simply courting death. That's right. Even if we offend the Dragon Palace this time, these treasures are worth it. In the surrounding area, the rank 8 liches laughed heartily. This time, the liches country's harvest was simply too great. Most importantly, these harvests were easy for them, and they didn't have to pay any price. As for offending the Dragon Palace, they didn't take it to heart. Their strength was more than 10 times that of the Dragon Palace. If it weren't for the rules of the chaotic continent, they would have killed the Dragon King if he dared to be arrogant in front of them. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.